These are people that want to destroy our country. We're not going to let it happen.
Everybody around this table is so honored to be here to work with you to destroy these terrorists that have been killing Americans for years and getting rich off of it. I'm so proud of the work that was done just in the September surge. You referenced that earlier. We had over 400 operations. Driver's licenses as well and enter our roadways. And recently, we've seen a trend of us recognizing the crashes and the lives that they are perpetuating and happening on our roads across this country. In fact, I'm standing here today with many people who can speak to what they are seeing with these CDLs and these drivers with these illegal criminals and aliens that are in our country and the danger that they present each and every day to the families that live in the United States. As you all know, I'm Kristi Noem. I'm the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and we do have some special guests with us. We have a unique partnership here in the state of Indiana with the governor, so I want to thank Governor Braun for being with us today, and we'll speak to how his law enforcement agencies are working with the Department of Homeland Security and with our ICE officers to bring safety to our roadways again. I also am thankful that he has his superintendent here, Anthony Scott, and thank him for his leadership in providing some of the efforts that you'll hear about the cooperation today as well. Also, off to my right, I have the Acting Director of ICE, Todd Lyons, is going to speak today about how we are doing this across the country and compounding the efforts that we're putting forward. And then Deputy Director Madison Sheehan will share with you some insight on what more people can do to ensure that our laws are followed in this country. Now, many of these individuals that come into our country illegally may commit criminal acts as well beyond that, but then go to a state and get licensed and receive a commercial driver's license, many times are challenged in how they put that forward and how they do their work every day. We've seen over the years that they don't speak English, they can't read our road signs, that when they have enforcement activities with law enforcement officers, that they can't communicate with them, and it presents a danger many times over. In fact, putting these foreigners in tractor trailers like the ones you see behind me becomes extremely dangerous. I have driven semis over many, many years and 18-wheelers and understand they're difficult to stop, maneuver. You have to have a skill set, but also communication with those around you. And certainly in your training, that's important to make sure you're operating it safely. Putting them behind the wheel of these tractor trailers weighing tens of thousands of pounds loaded with explosive fuel down the highway endangers every single citizen that is on our roads. Today, these individuals will speak about some of those incidences that we've seen, but also what we're doing to clean up this activity and those dangers every single day. Now, through our 287G partnership that we have with the state of Indiana, we have run an operation recently which has allowed to hundreds of arrests that has brought people in that are breaking our laws. Through that partnership, 223 illegal aliens have been arrested and taken off of our roads. Of those, 146 of them were drivers. That includes 46 semi-truck drivers and another 82 of them that were either box trucks, buses, moving vans, vehicles such as that. The CDLs that were issued to those individuals were issued from over a dozen different states. Many of those individuals could have been licensed in a state somewhere and received their CDL in another state, but overwhelmingly, these individuals have come from sanctuary states such as California and Illinois and New York. If you are here driving on our streets illegally and our highways, you are endangering our citizens and your days are numbered. I want to thank Secretary Sean Duffy from the Department of Transportation for all of his work too. You've seen him focus on the effort to get these individuals off of our streets, and I want to thank him for doing that and implementing new policies and regulations that will keep our citizens safe. Too many families across this country have felt pain and been victimized and lost loved ones because of these illegal drivers. Just earlier this month here in Indiana, we saw an illegal alien from Serbia and Montenegro was operating his semi-truck without a valid commercial license. He swerved into oncoming traffic and killed Jeffrey Eberly. In August, Indian illegal alien killed 3 people in a reckless driving highway incident in Florida. And I think most of you remember the news coverage from that, but the devastating impacts of that loss. That CDL had been issued in California by Governor Gavin Newsom. Just last week, another Indian illegal alien killed 3 Americans on a highway in California. He was intoxicated behind the wheel of his truck. Every single time one of these individuals gets behind the truck, on the wheel of a truck, they are in front of a deadly weapon that can kill other Americans as well. Behind me, you will see 4 different placards of individuals that we're talking about today specifically. These individuals are some of the worst that we've been able to arrest under Operation Midway Blitz. The first one I'll talk about is from Mexico, and this individual was convicted of felony cruelty towards a child. He was also previously found to have possessing a fraudulent driver's license as well, and guilty of that and convicted. The next one is a criminal illegal alien from Mexico who was convicted of vehicle theft and apprehended for possession of a controlled substance. The third individual that you'll see in front of you today is a criminal illegal alien from Nicaragua. This individual was charged with a DUI, then assault with a deadly weapon, possessing narcotics that are for sale, and transporting drugs. He also was convicted for disorderly conduct and prostitution. Another illegal alien from Colombia in front of us, which is the fourth individual I'll talk about today, has an active criminal arrest warrant for theft out of Texas. During these targeted operations that we've conducted in Indiana, we've also arrested several other illegal aliens with wide-ranging criminal histories. 6 of those individuals were convicted of assault, drugs, selling drugs, prostitution, and operating while intoxicated. 5 of those individuals were arrested for drugs, theft, and burglary, and 5 others were arrested for battery, child abuse, domestic battery, and driving while intoxicated and fraud. You can see from the work that these partnerships build on, that we work with other states such as Indiana and Governor Braun and his team, that many dangerous criminal illegal aliens are taken off of our streets, that our laws are upheld, and that Americans are protected because of the operations and the work that's being done. Since the beginning of Midway Blitz, ICE and CBP and our state partners have arrested more than 3,000 illegal aliens, including rapists, murderers, and gang members that have been brought to justice. And listen, we don't want any of these individuals out on our roads, and we don't want them in our communities, and we especially don't want them behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler when they can't speak our language, they don't understand our laws, they can't follow our roadway signs, and they can't interact with law enforcement or our citizens. It's dangerous, and it's not going to happen under the Trump administration like it did under the Biden administration. Thousands and thousands of Americans are protected because of the work that's being done with states such as this. United States Citizenship and Immigration Services is also working to fix some of the safety issues that we've been seeing across our country. They just ended a policy that allowed illegal aliens work permits that automatically renewed those work permits without any additional vetting. That will help us get some of these CDLs out of the hands of individuals who may be driving these trucks right here today. The illegal alien that was charged with throwing an anti-Semitic Molotov cocktail earlier this year in Boulder, Colorado, got a work permit. He got it renewed under the former policy, and he got it with an expired visa. This policy is now changed because of the good work of USCIS. Now people will be re-vetted and have to be reapproved in order to get that work permit that could potentially be used to garner a CDL and get on the street. Law-abiding Americans should be able to use the roads without being scared for their safety. They shouldn't have to worry about themselves or their children or what they're doing when they're going to church, going to work, or going to activities every single day. No father should have to fear being rear-ended by a semi-truck at full speed while he's simply on his way to work to provide for his family. No mother should have to be afraid of an illegal alien running into her with her children when she's got little kids in the back seat in her car seats. I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother, and I can't imagine what would happen or how I would feel if one of my children or grandchildren were hurt by someone who was never supposed to be in our country in the first place, much less behind a truck like this and given permission from an irresponsible, reckless governor like Gavin Newsom or Pritzker or anyone else in this country that chooses to ignore our laws and put illegal criminals ahead of our American citizens. With state partners like Governor Braun and like the state of Indiana, people will be safer, people will be protected, and our laws will matter. That's what's special about this country. It's what's amazing about President Trump and what he's doing to make our streets safer. And I'm so grateful for all of his work and the ability to protect our law enforcement officers as they go out and do their work every day protecting American citizens. And with that, I will turn it over to Governor Braun to make some statements for all of you.
Thank you, Secretary Noem. You know, it's ironic that after serving 6 years in the U.S. Senate, grappling with all these issues, coming back as governor of the crossroads of America, and I want to thank you, the administration, for looking to Indiana on something that probably is impacted more by this than any other state. I mean, when many of the major interstates come through your state, you probably have more of them per square mile, you're going to end up with more issues disproportionately. Irony, I ran a logistics and distribution business for 37 years. And CDLs take a lot of effort to get them, and when they're handed out, like places like California and others have, it puts everyone in peril. The other irony to the whole discussion, and we're doing it right in here, is talking about redistricting. The places that have housed illegal immigrants as being sanctuary states, sanctuary cities, it makes representation disproportionately in their favor. And then when you're doing stuff like this on top of it, it's a double whammy. So I am thankful that we got an administration that took the same template that the last administration had, and instead of inviting people at their own peril into this country, creating the issue, you can see how easy it was to fix it in a short period of time. This is going to take a joint effort. You know, every state is a border state when you got to contend with stuff like this. Operation Midway Blitz is working to make our highways safer. You're going to hear from our superintendent in a moment, and we are going to be partners to help make that happen. You heard some of the stats. Since September 17th, 200 illegal aliens arrested, 22 truck drivers without a valid license here in Indiana, most of them with criminal records including drug possession, assault, and drunk driving. ICE is working with the Indiana State Police to expand this program by incorporating additional state troopers assigned to the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division in our own state. I want to thank all of you for coming in. We are going to work with DHS. We're going to work with ICE to keep our communities and our highways safe, even though other places are making them the opposite. Thank you. Now you'll hear from our superintendent, state police. Or you? Okay.
Good morning. First off, I want to say thank you to Secretary Noem, ICE Acting Deputy Director Lyons, for being here today and for their commitment to public safety and to making our communities and roadways safer. I also want to say thank you to Governor Braun for his consistent support of the Indiana State Police, not just regarding this operation, but for supporting all that our troopers and detectives do on a day-to-day basis. I want to say thank you to the ISP staff, and specifically Major John Smithers, who's in the room today, and the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division for their dedication to this partnership with ICE. In addition, I have just a few brief comments. As you know, over the past several weeks, our Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division has partnered with federal immigration authorities in an effort to identify dangerous trucking practices on Indiana highways. Trucks come through Indiana hauling everything from produce to hazardous materials to nearly every other type of commercial goods. Millions of pounds of freight moving on the highways every day. For the Indiana State Police, this is not about immigration status alone. It's about public safety. An 80,000-pound truck in untrained hands is a dangerous thing. It's important to note that we are enforcing existing federal and state trucking laws at weigh stations across our state. For us, this is not new. There's no new implementation of new laws. This is what we do every day. In a normal year, our troopers and motor carrier enforcement officers weigh or inspect about 1.5 million commercial vehicles at our permanent scale facilities or utilizing mobile inspections. Consistent commercial vehicle enforcement is necessary to protect the motoring public in Indiana, but it is also important to protect the overwhelming majority of lawful truckers and trucking companies who follow the rules and keep our roads safe for every motorist. So Indiana's troopers and motor carrier inspectors will continue to enforce federal and state commercial motor vehicle laws while at the same time supporting our federal immigration partners in their efforts to keep Indiana safe. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Todd Lyons. I'm the Acting Director of ICE. First, I want to start out by thanking Secretary Noem, Governor Braun, and State Police Secretary Scott. When ICE launched Operation Midway Blitz in September, we were out to rid the sanctuary status of Chicago. The governor said it best when he said that every state's a border state, and we believe that. We knew the problem existed beyond the city borders of Chicago. ICE protected Chicago when local leadership failed. With our officers arresting 1,800 criminal aliens from Chicago streets, the interstates leading from the city were a key part of this. With the help of our federal partners, we've arrested over 3,000 criminal aliens with Operation Midway Blitz. And thanks to our partnership with the Indiana State Police, ICE is proud to say we were able to arrest 223 criminal aliens in this roadway operation. Our partnership with the state police is amazing, and there are way too many times elected officials try to put a wedge between law enforcement. But this is the key of law enforcement working together and being partners. It's unconscionable that illegal aliens have CDLs and driving 18-wheelers across our nation. Just because some sanctuary cities want to gamble with motorist lives and let these dangerous people on the roads driving dangerous vehicles. On August 12th, an illegal alien driving a semi-truck attempted to make an illegal U-turn in Florida. The minivan behind him couldn't stop in time and crashed into that truck. The state of California issued him a CDL, although he was present illegally in the United States. Then again, on September 22nd, another illegal alien who shouldn't have had a CDL caused a deadly crash in California, and he killed 3 people because he was under the influence of drugs. Of the 223 illegal aliens ICE arrested with the Indiana State Police on these roadways, over 140 of those were truck drivers, including 50 semi-trucks. That includes over 50 illegal aliens that had been issued CDLs. As we've talked about, many of these illegal aliens had significant criminal histories: drug dealing, assault and battery, drunk driving, child abuse, rape, domestic violence, fraud, and prostitution. Most of these illegal aliens we arrested in this operation received their CDLs from sanctuary states, including California, Illinois, and New York. This operation is a real-world example of how sanctuary policies negatively impact the whole country. What happens in one state, like the issuance of a CDL to an illegal alien, spills over to other states, which is exactly what happened in California and in Florida. It is also part of our national security mission with ICE, because millions of illegal aliens that came to the United States under the last administration were unvetted. The problem is we don't know what they're carrying across state lines in an 18-wheeler. Terrorists will stop at nothing to harm the United States, and it's well within the realm of possibility that some of these trucks and some of these semi-trucks that are traversing our nation's highway could be carrying toxic chemicals, bombs, or God knows what. Our agency was formed out of the aftermath of 9/11, the largest terrorist attack on American soil. I'm extremely proud of the hardworking men and women of ICE as we led this critical operation in and around Chicago. Again, this operation would not have been successful without our partnership with the Indiana State Police. With that, I'd like to introduce the Deputy Director of ICE, Madison Chia.
Good morning. I'm Madison Sheehan, the Deputy Director of ICE. I'd like to thank Secretary Noem and Director Lyons for allowing ICE officers to get out on the street and do their job every single day. Today, we have a historic partnership with the state of Indiana. Thanks to Governor Braun and his superintendent and his entire team at the state, we were able to delegate them 287G authority, which gives immigration authority to state and local law enforcement. In the state of Indiana, we have over 14 agreements with over 200 officers trained in the task force model. Thanks to President Trump, we were able to expand the 287G program to a task force model that allows us to walk beside state and local officers as we conduct arrests in the places that they know that the worst of the worst are. And the state of Indiana understands the risk of having semi-trucks on the highway with people who don't know how to drive them and don't know how to use them. And so being able to go in and partner with the state of Indiana in this historic way, thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill that was passed, we are now able to then provide reimbursements to the state of Indiana for the work that they've done and the time that they've dedicated to the men and women of ICE to be able to do this every single day. Governor Braun has seen firsthand the significance of being able to walk beside ICE to make sure that we're removing the worst of the worst from his community, to get people off of the streets that should have never been here in the first place. Thanks to Secretary Noem and Director Lyons, the men and women of ICE are able to go out every single day, work beside the state of Indiana to be able to do this. And this is not the first place that we're doing this, and it won't be the last either. We'll continue to work throughout the country to make sure that we are doing our jobs to put the American people first. Governor Braun and Superintendent, I'd like to thank you for defending the homeland, for choosing to put the American people first and the state of Indiana first. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Secretary Noem. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you to everybody who's here today to focus on this important operation that we're utilizing to make our roadways safer across this country. I think awareness to this issue really came to the forefront when that accident happened in Florida. And we saw that illegal alien take the lives of 3 individuals who were just out on the road enjoying their family members that day and lost tragically their lives because of someone who didn't understand our laws or didn't have the respect to follow them and certainly wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. That's when we really started to focus on illegal aliens in this country who have CDLs, who they were granted those CDLs by, the damage that sanctuary states can do when they give driver's licenses and CDLs to individuals who don't understand our language, don't understand our laws, and then they give them the latitude to get behind a truck like this. And we recognized that we needed to do targeted operations across the country like the one that we've done here in Indiana. 223 illegal aliens have been taken off of these roads because of this work that was done under Midway Blitz with the partnership of Governor Braun and his team. We're so grateful for that. But it's not just happening here in Indiana. In fact, in Oklahoma, we've had an operation going the last few days. Over 250 illegal aliens have been arrested there by making sure that we're checking who's driving these trucks and if they should have a CDL in the first place and if they're following the laws in this country. Listen, our job every single day at the Department of Homeland Security is to keep the American people safe, to protect our homeland and to defend our homeland and to enforce our laws. We don't pick and choose who our laws apply to. They get applied equally to everyone, and we always put American citizens first because that's what our Constitution guarantees us. We are so grateful that we have a president who understands and respects the law, that lets our law enforcement officers go out every single day and do their jobs. Completely different situation than what we saw under the last administration. Our ICE officers, our CBP officers, our Highway Patrol, our local law enforcement officers are so thankful that they get to go out every day and do a work that keeps their families safe and keeps their communities safe. And we're so grateful that we have partners like we do here in Indiana that will continue to allow us to do this good work. What we've seen in attacks on ICE officers is unacceptable. The 1,000% increase in attacks on them is unacceptable. We just recently have learned that death threats against our ICE officers is up 8,000%. Now, I'll remind you, every single ICE officer has someone who loves them, has a family member, someone who cares that they come home at night. And death threats against them, people who want to kill them, have increased by 8,000%. What I would encourage all of you today is to go focus on telling the story of a law enforcement officer. Go thank them for their service. Go support their family members. Be grateful that we have communities that are safe. and spend at least 5 to 10 minutes today thinking, what would you do if we did not have law enforcement officers in our communities and in our states and in our country keeping us safe? What would this country look like if they didn't get out of bed every day and go to work proud to put on that badge, to put on that uniform, and to go fight to make sure that everybody can live safely and can have a future that they can be proud of in the greatest country that ever existed? So with that, I will open it up to any questions that you may have. Yes. No, we're absolutely not willing to put on pause any work that we will do to keep communities safe. The fact that Governor Pritzker is asking for that is shameful, and I think unfortunate that he doesn't recognize how important the work is that we do to make sure we're bringing criminals to justice and getting them off our streets, especially when we're going to send all of our kiddos out on the streets and going to events and enjoying the holiday season. We want to make sure that they're safe. And if you see, even up here, we have individuals that we've picked up off the streets with our ICE officers and CBP officers that have assault against a child pedophiles, rapes. Those individuals don't deserve to be on our streets, and we're certainly not going to let our kids be victimized by them. According to who? Okay, yep. We absolutely every day are focused on arresting the worst of the worst and those individuals that have been targeted for their criminal activities. But remember, if you come into our country illegally, you are breaking our laws. You are committing a criminal activity. And many times when we're out there on the streets making sure that we're getting these criminals off of our streets and out of our communities, that there are individuals that they are with that we also are making sure that they should be in this country. And if they aren't, then we're making sure that they get their due process and they're removed and returned to their home countries. The one thing I would remind every single person in this country is someone who is here illegally has the opportunity to go home voluntarily. That if they get on the CBP Home app, we will give them $1,000 cash when they get home and buy them a plane ticket to get there, and they will have the opportunity to come back to America the right way. If they wait until we detain them and pick them up off of our streets, they'll never get the chance to come back to the United States of America. Yes. Violent crimes, I can get that for you. I'm not sure we have the statistic on violent crimes, but they're breaking our laws, and if they're here illegally and they have a criminal record as well, all of those individuals will be focused on to remove from our country. Oh, absolutely not. I would say the White House and I am and our leadership team is thrilled with all the work that ICE and Border Patrol are doing to help clean up our streets. In fact, giving people an opportunity to lead is fantastic. Giving people an opportunity to step up and take up on more responsibilities is a wonderful thing that you see happening in this country right now. As you see more and more operations get built out, we're calling on more people to use their skills and their talents to help enforce our laws. So I've read some of the reporting that talks about some dissatisfaction between the entities. It's just absolutely false. In fact, I think it's shameful for individuals to be quoted and used as sources for these news articles without their names being used. If you don't have a source and somebody who's willing to go on the record, then they're simply not telling the truth, and that's where I've seen most of that reporting come from. No, I would say that we actually are using our ICE officers and our CBP officers everywhere. Some of our CBP individuals that have been called to duty have been retired, and they wanted to come back and join the team. I think that's fantastic. Some of these individuals will be deployed to other field offices that weren't as active before, and we need their leadership there. So this is making sure we have the right people in the right seat on the bus to make sure that this bus gets exactly where it's going, and that's a more free America and a safer America. Yes, sir. So I will refer to the operations that are on the ground. Through the 287G program, it allows state law enforcement to do enforcement actions on immigration laws. And so many times these stops are happening at way stations along your freeways and highways, and then those individuals can do traffic enforcement and inspections and then carry out immigration enforcement as well. That's in partnership with our ICE officers and with those under the Department of Homeland Security. And I can let Madison or Todd talk to a little bit more of the details on that if you would like to, and speak to the detention facility.
Yeah, so as far as the 287G program goes, we're able to then partner with the state entity. They're able to go out and conduct arrests in their day-to-day duties. When they come across somebody that is a criminal illegal alien, they're then able to turn them over to our custody. At these way stations, we're able to walk beside these officers and have this joint partnership, thanks to the Indiana State Police, that is a truly historic opportunity for us to do something that we can look at expanding nationwide. And as Governor Braun said, this is really a model that we can use all throughout the country thanks to his leadership and his team's leadership.
What's that? It's in the Midway Blitz operation, which includes Indiana, Chicago, Illinois, and that area that field office is covering. Yes, sir. Okay. No, when you talk about people that have left this country using the CBP Home app, those who voluntarily left, those that we have actively detained and deported, that number is over 2 million people since the Trump administration has come into the White House. That is an incredible, record-shattering number of individuals who were here illegally that are now gone. And when you think about the ripple effects of that, the amount of resources that frees up to focus on the American citizens, it's remarkable the good work that President Trump has been able to do. I would say that by the end of this year, those individuals who have been detained or arrested and deported will be over 600 to 650,000, and then we include many more that are still voluntarily going home on their own as well. No, those that are turned away at the border are not recorded in those that are detained and arrested. You know, the Biden administration, was very corrupt in how they recorded their arrest numbers, and every single person that they interacted with at the border, they counted as an arrest, even though they facilitated them into this country. We aren't doing that. We're being honest with the American people and letting them know the facts of who in this country has been detained and who it is that we're removing back to their home countries. Yes. Well, we're pushing sanctuary states to stop issuing driver's licenses to people who are illegal aliens. Many of them are doing it. In fact, we've seen over a dozen different states that actively hand out driver's licenses to individuals who should never get one. As you know, the Department of Homeland Security is implementing the 20-year-old law that requires a real ID, which requires legal status in this country. It requires you to show where you live and who you are. That real ID is implemented in many states across this country, but some of these sanctuary states, such as California, New York, Illinois, are not doing that. And that's allowing those individuals then who are here illegally to go get licensed and get a commercial driver's license and then get behind a truck like this that soon becomes a weapon if they don't know how to operate it properly. One last question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, we can get that for you. Those are individuals that have been detained, that we've interacted with, that were here illegally, committed crimes, or had final orders of removal issued against them, and then are in the process of returning back to their home countries. So think of that. Thousands of individuals that were committing crimes, that have broken our laws and come into this country that shouldn't be here, that because of the good work of our law enforcement now will be returned back home to their home countries. And remember, many of these countries are thankful to have them back. Their economies have changed. They have an ability to provide them with training and jobs and housing and are welcoming them home. We have great partnerships internationally with dozens and dozens of countries who are helping us to facilitate this movement back home. So we are grateful for that, but we're going to continue to do the work. If you remember, the last administration has brought in 15 to 20 million illegal people into this country and facilitated an invasion over our southern border that we not only stopped when President Trump came into office, but now we're going to remove those individuals out of our country and make sure that we're putting American citizens first. We will not talk about that. We will keep it going, and we will continue to operate, and we'll continue to do this work until there are no longer anybody out on our roads and in our communities that's here illegally. Thank you. I can't hear you. There's no American citizens have been arrested or detained. We focus on those that are here illegally. And anything that you would hear or report that would be different than that is simply not true and false reporting. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Do we need to turn this down, Brendan?